welcome to my top 30 extreme metal albums video. Now, this was requested by Slippery Rat, one of my channel members, who saw Altars of Madness's video on the same topic and wanted me to do my own spin on it. So, go check out Altars of Madness's channel. He's a great guy. He's collabed with us. We've got 2 videos out now, so go check one out on his channel and one on mine. And yeah, I'm going to do my own spin on it. So, in regards to this video, I wanted to make it actually extreme, because the word extreme metal, it's not really meant anything to me, because it's just kind of an umbrella term for everything, doom, death, black, pretty much anything that's slightly more extreme than the average listener listens to. But for this list, I wanted to make it actually extreme. So 90% of black metal is not going to be on this list, so any atmospheric black, melodic black, stuff like that, because that just calms me. I don't know if it's just me, but I sleep to that stuff, so it's not going to be there. A lot of death metal. There is some traditional ones I've got on the list, but most of it, again, it's kind of just soothing to me. So this list is more like, for me, fully extreme albums. There may be some hit and miss ones you may say, well, that's not that extreme, but we'll get to that. So without further ado, let's get on with number 30, Napalm Death. Anything that's like punky and fast and furious and in your face is very extreme in my opinion. The frosty of it definitely lends well to extremity, which is why there's no doom on here as well. But Harmony Corruption is the album I'm going for. Pummeling album, my favourite by the band. It's got more of a death metal flair than the early grindcore stuff. Bit more metal sounding again than the punky sound, but it still has that punky edge, but I just like it a little bit more. So Harmony Corruption coming in at number 30. Number 29, we've got a new one from this year. I know. New one from this year, Knoll. As Spoken, furious, like just black and death grind, crazy, just nonsense. It's absolutely intense as all hell, and the album cover is just like a mirror. It's got a dark mirror, but you're looking at it and you're like, the music's not really that crazy, is it? And you listen to it and it's like, okay, the music's insane. Love this album from this year, so I'm glad it's making this list. Next up we have Gore Metal by Exhumed. The death grind stuff definitely is extreme, and this is one of the best in the genre. You may see some more pop up later on, but this is such a catchy album. The riffs are killer, the artwork's killer. When you see that artwork with all the body parts in like microwaves and just around and the chainsaw, you know it's gonna be heavy, you know it's gonna be extreme, and oh boy is it. Next up for some thrash metal. I think thrash metal's pretty extreme. A lot of them are. Some of them are kind of mainstream, but this is Epidemic of Violence by Demolition Hammer. It's getting that hammer, smashing you over the face constantly throughout this whole album. A barrage of just crazy vocal deliveries, amazing drumming, just fast, furious, and that's the way I like it, and that's, to me, is extreme. Like, listening to Epidemic of Violence, to me, is more extreme than Darkthrone. I don't know, it's just me. That's more peaceful for my ears. Doesn't mean I like it more. It's just, to me, Epidemic of Violence just has a more extreme sound. So I was making it here. Next up, Titan Blood. Got some black metal in here. Furious black metal. The Baneful Choir is what I'm going to pick. You could have picked any of Titan Blood's albums. Again, pummeling, it has like this wall of sound around you when you're listening to it, especially in headphones as well. That's just inescapable. Inescapable darkness, and it is just powerful. So yeah, gotta rep some Titan Blood on here. Next up, for some more punky black metal, Impaled Nazarene, Urga Karma. You could have picked a lot of Impaled Nazarene's discography. Again, mixing the punk with the black metal just makes it more furious, because it's got that intensity, switches up the styles very quickly. It's like, again, it's kind of like that thrash metal where you just kind of headbang and your neck doesn't know what to do, it's just about to crack. That's like that on this album. Just a wild, insane ride. I ranked them recently. I didn't like them for a while, but now I really do. And Urga Karma is an absolute classic, and it's here. Okay, I mentioned we're not going to have like a lot of stuff like Burzum, Darkthrone, but Mayhem does have one release here, and it's going to be Death Crush. The EP Death Crush, again, from the artwork, with the hands. you know it's something gory, you know it's something insane, and it is. Chainsaw Guts, fuck. One of the best songs they've done. Death Crush, heavy as hell. This little EP is just furious, to the point, and it's one of Mayhem's best works. So, yep, it's here. Next up is Vengeance War Till Death by Bestial Warlust. Gotta have some war metal on a list of extreme, albums. You can't not. And this may be one of my favourites. I love the art of the chariot, and it looks like they're coming to war straight for you. And you know war metal's like a barrage of just blackened craziness. It's kind of like Mad Max. Balls to the walls, insanity the whole way through. And these Australian... Oh, speaking of Mad Max, they're from Australia as well. Nice little segue. Yeah, love this album. Again, Upheaval of Satanic Might by Black Witchery. More war metal. This is a more recent one, but it's just as furious, just as intense. I like the production on it as well. It gives it a darker edge, and it's kind of like the darker cousin of Bestial Warlust. Just furious songs, evil sounding songs, and very extreme. Next up we have Demigod by Behemoth. Oh, a mainstream band in here. This album is extreme. It is. It's the heaviest Behemoth album, which I know a lot of people probably used to like the Satanist onwards, or maybe Evangelion onwards, and then the early stuff like Grom and Sventif are kind of more traditional black metal, so it's not quite extreme, but Demigod is very extreme. The songs on here, live especially, go hard. Like Conquer All, Slave Shall Serve. That song alone is heavier than most songs I hear, including like the grind stuff. This song is just insanity, so I can't not put Demigod on here, because it's bloody good. So here's one I wasn't sure I was going to put on here, but Legion by Deicide, my favourite Deicide album. I could have put the debut on, I was very tempted, Dead by Dawn, but I think Legion's just, I don't know, it feels heavier to me, more chaotic. Deicide is one of those death metal bands where I feel like they are a lot more heavy and extreme than the counterparts like Immolation, Incantation, who have a bit more of a slightly doomy edge, especially with Incantation, a lot more doomy edge, so I wouldn't really put them on this list. But Deicide is just straight blasting straight blasting death metal, and I can't not put an absolute classic on the list. Trample the Weak, Hurdle the Dead by Skinless. Now this is catchy insanity. Like, the vocal delivery on this album is just chef's kiss. Again, ferocious, intense, everything you want. And look at the album cover, he's like literally pointing the fucking gun at you. The gas mask. You know it's gonna be crazy, you know it's gonna be good. Next up, Reign Supreme by Dying Fetus. One of my favourite Dying Fetus albums. Again, could have picked any album by the band, even the latest one. They are like the poster child of like extremity. Just the low growls, kind of like a bulldog. Just how heavy the drums are. Live as well, they go hard. Gotta have some Dying Fetus on a list like this, and Reign Supreme is my pick because it's probably my favourite. Next up, Imperative Imperceptible Impulse by Ad Nauseam. Some people may say this is a bit atmospheric, but no, this is like you're trapped in a cave forever. And like, there's like just slime dripping on you, it's dark, it's evil, there's monsters around. It is terrifying music, it is extreme, it's kind of like Gorguts, but not as melodic. It's just pure harrowing, crushing darkness, and if that's not extreme, I don't know what is. Next up, some more classics. Effigy of the Forgotten by Suffocation. Come on. I spawned an entire genre. That drum sound, it's ferocious the entire way through. I love the production. I could have put like the demo, or some of the demos or the EPs on here as well, but for me, Effigy has always been my favourite. Got the shirt. I still love it now. Pierced is a bit more melodic, but Effigy is more extreme. Next up, Cryptopsy, Non-Servile. How can you not have Cryptopsy? Non-Servile Lord Worm's vocals, probably the most extreme in extreme music. You know, his vocals cannot be beaten. Absolute just majestic voice, and then the music goes along with it. Slit Your Guts, Crown of Horns, like there's too many good songs on this album. It's a masterpiece. Next up we have The Battle of Yaldabaoth by Infant Annihilator. That's right, a deathcore band has made it onto this list. Now, I love this album when it came out. Loads of people are going to start screaming at me for this, but have you listened to it? It's extreme as hell. Like, it is actually just insanity, and it's catchy as well. The songs are catchy. Some of the songs are long, but they're still ferocious the entire way through. The album cover's sick. I love this album. I think it's fantastic. It feels weird putting it in with all the others, but in my opinion, this is probably more extreme than Legion and some of those other albums I've mentioned already. So, yeah, what are we going to do? It's my list. It's going here. The Anthropocene Extinction by Cattle Decapitation. Travis Ryan's vocals are just on another level. Similar to like Lord Worms, he's another great vocalist, especially live. Seen him, and it just blew my mind. I saw him on the Death Atlas tour though, but Death Atlas is a bit more melodic, so I didn't put that here. So Anthropocene, it is, because it is the most ferocious one, but it does have the melodies throughout. I could have picked some of the earlier stuff, which is pure grind, but this is a list of ones I like the best as well. So I like this one the best. Next up is Staring to Death and Be Still by Ulcerate. Ulcerate, another band, kind of like Ad Nauseam. Walls of noise, very dissonant, very just aggressive, and just every part of every song is just really dark and very heavy. So I gotta have Ulcerate on a list like this, and that's my favourite. It's been my favourite for a while. Reviewed it when it came out, still love it. Next up is Kills, Melano. Again, similar to Ulcerate, this is a very dissonant album, but very evil. Like, it's probably the most evil sounding album I've ever heard in my life. And the newest one as well, House of Black, Geminus, also is a crazy. I almost put that here as well, but we're going to go Melano because I've had longer to sit with it. Absolutely adore this album. Again, this is one I can listen to and sleep to, but it's probably the most harrowing one on the entire list. It's the scariest one on the entire list, but it's very extreme still. So it's coming here. Nile, gotta have Nile on a list like this. Annihilation of the Wicked is just fantastic. Lashed to the Slave Stick, Lashed to the Slave Stick is insane. The title track, there's too many good songs on this album. Ferocious technicality, the growls, love the whole thing. Making it into the top 10. Hatred for Mankind by Dragged into Sunlight. There's some doom in here as well, but it is just ferocious and just evil and crazy, and kind of reminds me like similar-ish to Bethlehem, but just in the pure insanity of the whole thing. Again, similar to Achilles with a kind of evil flair. Very extreme, one of the most extreme albums I've ever heard, and yeah. It's here. Next up is Pleasure to Kill by Creator. More thrash metal. This one is one of the most extreme thrash metal albums you'll ever hear. In my opinion, it's bordering on death metal. That's how crazy it is, and the fact that it's thrash just makes it faster than the average death metal and just makes it just more intense and more extreme. Gotta have some love to Creator. Gotta throw on Pleasure to Kill. Next up is Fallen Angel of Doom by Blasphemy. Come on, you didn't think Blasphemy was going to make it off this list. One of the greats. The production just lends itself to this kind of war metal. Blasting black metal. It's furious, it's intense, it's crazy. And you've probably all heard this one by now, so don't need to keep gushing about it. It is one of the greats. Next up, I wasn't sure to put it on this list, but I wrote it down here, so I'm going to talk about it anyway. Purity by Hate Forest. Love this album. Hate Forest, from start to finish, they are absolute just ferocious. The entire album just blasting the entire way through. It does kind of become a bit more atmospheric that way though. So this is probably the one on the entire list where I can kind of chill and listen to, but it's still ferocious and it's still extreme. And that's why I'm putting it here. I'm not putting like Droog or any other bands like that. But Hate Forest kind of gets a pass for me because it still has that. It still has the cojones, Still has the balls. So, yeah, it's here. Right, next up is Whore of Bethlehem by Archgoat. Again, you can't not have war metal on a list like this, and Archgoat is my favourite, and this album is my favourite of the whole War Metal catalogue. It's just so damn intense. That's the word for it. It's intense the whole way through. Again, could have picked any Archgoat album, but for me, this just has the songs. You know, the songs are just better on this album for me. So it's here. Next up is Paracletus by Deathspell Omega, similar to like the Ulcerate and the Achilles. Deathspell. You know, I've jerked off over Deathspell too long. It's dissonant, it's crazy, it's avant-garde, it's wild, it's just all extremities crammed into one beautiful album. And the album art's beautiful too. Kill by Cannibal Corpse. Straight to the point. The album is just kill. Every song kills. It's fast the whole way through. It's aggressive the whole way through. Come on. Cannibal Corpse has got to make it here. And Kill is probably the most crazy, intense album Cannibal Corpse has ever done. It kind of gets tiring, but I don't know. I love it about it. It's still my favourite by the band, and it's just non-stop beating over the head with a mallet. And that's what you want. Gotta have some Nel Nathrak in here. Codex Necro is what I'm picking. It's not my favourite in the Constellation is, but that's a lot more melodic, whereas Codex Necro is just pure extreme. Like, it's pure from the album cover, you know, with barbed wire on the neck. You know it's going to be absolute balls to the walls madness, and it is. Love the songs on this, love the intensity, love the ferocity, and it just, every time I listen to it, I find something new to enjoy. So there you go. And my number one most extreme album, and I still think every time I listen to it is like, this is just, nothing can beat this. Panzer Division Marduk by Marduk. Blasting black metal, just the war themes, just how ferocious it is, how fast it is, Christ-raping black metal, Fist fucking God's Planet. Come on, like the sounds of the bombs hitting, the screams, just barreling into the music. It is the most extreme album. It is the most extreme album. Every time I throw it on, some people don't like it. They like the more traditional black metal side of Marduk, but Panzer is just on another level. It's on another level. So there it is. Top 30 extreme metal albums in my opinion. Let me know down below. This is just the ones I like the most. There's been loads I've missed off, obviously. Some bands I might not like, and some albums I like more than others. So pop your own down below, maybe do a top 10 or something like that. And yeah, we'll see you again on another Quest for Metal.